Welcome back to the Padres franchise, everybody, and we are here at the trade deadline. I know that earlier on in the series, I had mentioned potentially trading a player like Dylan Cease away at the deadline, and he has kind of struggled so far this season with a 4.14 ERA, the whip at a 1.36, and the WAR is sitting in a decent spot with a 1.4. The attributes are all going up, stamina going down a little bit. And in his last 10 starts has a 4.3 ERA and a 1.3 whip. So he's been pretty consistent with what he's done this season. He is on an expiring deal though. He will hit free agency at the end of this season. And if we go into contract extensions here and we wanted to try and get him back, we're looking at spending roughly $30 million. And I'm not looking to spend $30 million on Cease and then looking at Michael King, it's $30 more million. So $60 million per year for two pitchers. I'm not really interested in doing that. So I do believe that with a record of 46 and 63, sitting 11 games back of the wild card, I think we are in a position to quote unquote sell. So I talked about it a little bit as far as potential trade partners that we could approach for a deal. Spencer Jones was one of the players that I really liked. At 23 years old, he projects to have a really good bat in the future, can play all the outfield positions and first base. The problem with that is he has made his big league debut. So his clock has started without us, really having a say in that. He is off to a pretty good start in his big league career, but I think that kind of deters me from going after him. I also mentioned Luke Kershaw for the Minnesota Twins. He's 22 years old. The bat looks like it's going to be really good with B potential, and the contact and power versus lefties already in a good spot. The problem is I think that I'm really looking for a lefty bat more so than a righty bat. We're going to face a lot more right-handed pitching. Luke Kershaw can play some outfield, but with that speed, I don't really trust him to really have him out there. And then the Mets have a lot of players that I'm really interested in. Ryan Clifford is one of those guys that looks to also have excellent power in the future. He's 21 years old, but I think that the Mets view him as a future star, and I really don't think they would deal somebody like him at 21 years old. Pete Alonso currently only has 2 years left on his deal. He's probably next in line to be that first baseman. Carson Bench was the next guy that I thought about. 22 years old, 63 overall, B potential. The bat is improving. Defensively, he's improving. And at the AA level so far, he has a 273 average with 5 home runs. I think that he would be a good future piece in the lineup. I think that he needs to work on his defense more than anything, but I think he could be really good. But I think the player that I am most interested in is probably going to surprise some of you. Drew Gilbert, 24 years old, B potential, is already up to a 71 overall. When you're getting somebody like Carson Bench, he's 63 overall. So he's still got some growing to do before he really gets into that, close to that B potential. Well, Drew Gilbert's already kind of there. The bat is improving. He looks really good against right-handed hitting. Defensively, I think he's going to be really solid. He's got the speed, and he has a 287 average with 6 home runs. 404 slug, 765 OPS at the AAA level. He has not been called up yet, so we have control of his big league clock. I think that when you're trading somebody away like Dylan Cease, I don't think you can afford to trade for unproven prospects. I think that you really want somebody who is closer to being a contributor than they aren't, especially with the Padres. This is not a team that just goes around and sells at the deadline, at least in today's generation. They are going to always want to compete. I think Drew Gilbert will give us a chance to do so. Here in MLB The Show, Drew Gilbert is the 42nd best prospect in baseball. That is not the case in real life, so don't get that twisted. I don't want you guys thinking that we're really trading for a top 50 prospect. That's more so just a game because he's 24 years old. Ryan Clifford is their second best, and then Carson Bench is their 5th best. But Drew Gilbert, I think, is the guy that you have to go after here in this trade. So here is the deal. Dylan Cease, the 29-year-old Cy Young winning pitcher, is going to be going to New York, along with 27-year-old Brandon Lockridge that can kind of help play an outfield position if the Mets need him. We talked about the headliner from the Mets. It's Drew Gilbert, who will more than likely make his MLB debut as soon as he joins the big league roster. here in San Diego. But I think we're also getting some interesting pieces back in return other than him. How about 25-year-old Christian Scott? He's 67 overall. He's a relief pitcher, B potential. He has pretty solid velocity, 86 break to go along with the 82 mile per hour sweeper. He does not walk anybody. The pitching clutch is in a really solid spot as well. Not really going to strike too many batters out, and he may give up a home run from time to time. He did play with the Mets in 2024, and he must have just recently got the AAA call-up, or he was injured to start the season. But he has 4 1/3 innings pitched, 4.15 ERA, and a 2.3 whip. He's not at the top of his game at the moment, and I think that's why we're going to be able to bring him in. And then I do think that we need a pitcher to fill in the Dylan C spot that we're going to be missing. And I think Paul Blackburn is going to be the guy that we bring over here. He's a really solid pitcher, maybe struggling up to give up hits and not really get any strikeouts later on in his career. But he has a 4.5 ERA and 62 innings of work for the Mets this season, a 1.4 whip to go along with a 0.6 WAR. In his last 10 starts, he has a 4.6 ERA with a 1.22 whip, and he is in the final year of his contract. But that is the trade that we are sending over, and the Mets have accepted. So Paul Blackburn will immediately join the big league club, the 31-year-old. I'd like to see him have a really solid end to the season. We may try to re-sign him at 75 overall. I think that he would definitely be somebody that I would consider re-signing. As far as Christian Scott goes, I think that I'm probably going to call him up to the AAA level to start out. And then Drew Gilbert, we're going to go ahead and add him to the 40-man roster. Forrest Wall will get moved down to AAA. And Drew Gilbert is going to get the call up to the big league level, where he will soon make his MLB debut. So I do want Drew Gilbert to get everyday at-bats. I don't want his, lefty ratings being a little bit lower than his righty ratings really deter me from getting him everyday starts. The only way that we're going to be able to improve his contact in power versus left-handed pitching is by allowing him to see that pitching. And I'm going to do Drew Gilbert here with a little bit of respect. In college at Tennessee, he wore number 1. I'm not going to have him wear number 89. Just makes no sense. So he will rock number 1 in the Padres uniform. And I want to go ahead and get a player lock game with him for his big league debut. As there is the big trade that we have made as the Mets acquire a Cy Young caliber pitcher. We'll see if they go ahead and try and re-sign him. If they do, then I think it would definitely be a win-win for them. So I didn't know that Yuki Matsui wore number 1. We'll allow the veteran to continue wearing that. Drew Gilbert will wear number 7. I'll just go ahead and make that his preferred number. That way it doesn't change in the future. But I'm going to go ahead and get a player lock game in with Drew Gilbert as he makes his MLB debut against the 49-61 St. Louis Cardinals. They've struggled just about as bad as we have this season. Another thing that you're going to see in this episode is we're going to be able to see the ratings of our first draft picks. We drafted them in the previous episode. I'm excited to see what kind of guys we're going to be able to bring in and how soon they're going to be able to make an impact. Welcome to the show, Drew Gilbert, making his MLB debut. Here's what his stats looked like at the AAA level. A 287 average, 765 OPS with 6 home runs, and that was all in 307 at-bats. He's an older prospect. You really don't see too many 24-year-old prospects highly touted anymore, but I think that he definitely could make an impact. He should finish out the rest of this season, and I think next season obviously is going to have an opportunity to compete for a Rookie of the Year potentially. And I got to say, these City Connect uniforms by the Padres are atrocious. They're one of the ugliest uniforms that I've ever seen. And here we are in center field as Drew Gilbert will get his first action as a pro, as he will run in on this fly ball and make the catch for the first out. Keep that ball because you're going to want to keep it forever. It's the first put out of your career, as he's batting 8th today with Sonny Gray on the mound. As this one's ripped down the line, Drew Gilbert is going to hit this one off the base of the wall, and he's going to have a leadoff double. as Drew Gilbert's first career at-bat results in a hard-hit double. 99 miles per hour off the bat. I hope that he can turn into something good. It would be amazing to have an outfield consisting of Tatis, Jackson Merrill, and a star in Drew Gilbert. I have not checked to see what his potential is as far as if it's an 80 or an 89. Because a B potential could be anywhere from, an 80 potential to an 89 overall potential. I'll have to take a look at that after this game. But he is in scoring position here. Let's see if Luis Campusano can get him across. This one's going to be poked out. What in the world? He is going to be safe back into second, but for some reason I'm trying to advance. And the game just wouldn't let me. I'm going to try and steal this time here with the young center fielder. As he takes off, it's in the dirt, and he's in there safely. It's his first career stolen base. Drew Gilbert. Maybe a future star here in San Diego. As this one's hit on the ground, Gilbert will score. As it's an RBI for Luis Arraez. Somebody that I do intend on re-signing. Maybe even before we get to the offseason. Machado with an RBI as well, and we take a 2-1 lead. But the Cardinals here with a scoring threat. As this one will be hit to the outfield. Gilbert will run in on it. He will fire to third. Does Gilbert have the arm? He does! What a debut! Playing in center field for the injured Jackson Merrill. I froze there because I wasn't expecting to have to tap 5 buttons. But what a play! In his first career game, the 24-year-old is making some plays. Gilbert is behind in the count here, 1-2. As Sonny Gray is working into the 5th inning. And this one is inside, and Gilbert watches it for ball 2. The count now even. 63 contact against right-handed pitching is really solid here for a rookie as he works the count full. Here's the 3-2 from Sonny Gray, and Gilbert will pop this one up into the infield. It was in on the hands, and he was just a bit late on it. You know, you can't get on base every single time. Here he is now in the 7th. When you look at his ratings a little bit deeper here, I really like the position that they're in. A couple of ratings that I want to see get better, though, are obviously the vision and clutch. The discipline at 50, I think that will definitely get better. But clutch is the big thing because you can have 63 contact against right-handed pitching, but if there's runners in scoring position, that goes down to 45. So that is the rating that I really want to get better. Sooner rather than later, it'll make him a better hitter in the long run. Large lead over there on first as Gilbert tries to get him around as he's behind the 97-mile-per-hour fastball. A lot of movement there from Ryan Fernandez. As this one is poked out into right field, and it will be caught. As Drew Gilbert working on a 1-for-3 debut. And hopefully he doesn't have to bat again. Hopefully we're able to come away with the victory. As we go top 9, Robert Suarez on the mound. It's Nolan Gorman. And this one is hit out to right center. Gilbert's working back to it. And he is there for the second out. The Padres 1 out away from sealing the victory. And that's exactly what we'll do. The Ugly City Connect uniforms. And that's a victory in Drew Gilbert's MLB debut. So when you go to training here, at the moment, they currently have him working in the batting cages. I'd like to work him where we can get this vision, discipline, and clutch up. So we're going to do hitting coach sessions with Drew Gilbert. And he is sitting with an 85 potential. So right there in the middle of that B potential. And I think that's a really good spot for him. And it gives you a little bit of context as to why he was a top 50 prospect. I think Gilbert is going to be a future star. The thing with it, and the reason that I can rationalize being able to bring him in, is because he's already 24 years old. He's not a young prospect. He's not 21 like Jackson Merrill. He's 24. So he is an older prospect, but I think that it won't take long for him to get up to that 80 overall range and have a really solid bat. By the time he's 26 years old, You're not even going to care how old he was when you first called him up. So I had mentioned potentially signing Luis Arraez here at 27 years old. I'd love to be able to bring him in. And I think that there's a really solid chance that you're able to bring him in here on a 3 or 4 year deal. With the contact that he has, the vision in the clutch that he has, I just don't know how you don't sign him to more years. 4 years, looking for 8.8 per year. We can even bump it up to like 9. So like 4 years, $36 million to Luis Arraez. Yeah, it's a done deal. I'm not going to allow him to hit free agency. He is in a position where, I think I talked about this in the last episode, he's got B potential. Well, his contact is already so good that he can only really improve as a fielder, which I don't think will be the case, or his power. He's got 5 home runs on a season. 10, I do believe, is his career high in 2023. Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Luis Arraez, we're going to go ahead and extend him for $9 million, which is $5 million less than what he's making right now. Yeah, I don't know why he would sign that deal, but he did. Let's prevent him from hitting free agency. That's an easy decision. But we can finally view our draft picks. I can't lie, I'm kind of nervous for this. And here you are. Vance Davies is an 81 potential. He will begin as a 73 overall. He's going to have excellent contact, and he's going to have really solid power as well. Defensively, the fielding has to get better. The speed at 81, the stealing at 84 is really, really good. The defense will have to get better, like I said. And now with taking a guy, like Drew Gilbert, Vance Davies may not have that position open. We'll have to see how it plays out. Maybe you decide Fernando Tatis maybe moves down to DH potentially. I don't know what the plan is going to be there, but now we have 4 really solid outfielders, and Davies with 81 potential starting out as an 73 is really solid. We did kind of miss our second selection in Giancarlo Machado. 68 overall to start, 76 potential. Could certainly be called up, though, in a position where we need him to play for an injured player potentially. And honestly, his ratings aren't terrible. I think that he could be a solid player in the future. The next guy is Julio Ortiz with 84 potential, starting out as a 62 overall. He's a lefty arm with a 5-pitch mix. I think that his strongest attribute is his walk per 9, but his stamina is extremely low. Maybe he could potentially be a relief pitcher. And then Bill Frydenberg, 94 potential but 56 overall. It's probably going to be a while before he makes his MLB debut, but at 18 years old, he's got the time. We can wait on him. And then Eric Hayashi, 98 potential but 60 overall. He's already 23 years old. Yeah, it's going to be a while if this guy ever makes it to the show. Maybe he could move to be a reliever potentially, but at 23 years old, he's going to need to get better a lot faster, or we may never see him. But I am certainly pleased with Vance Davies. I think that he was a home run selection. 70 vision is really good. The clutch at 50 is something that's going to have to improve. Same thing that I just talked about with Gilbert. I think with Davies, he's probably going to sit at the AA level to start, probably go up to the AAA level. I doubt he's going to make an MLB debut in his first year. We'll have to see how we're going to approach this outfield position with now 4 guys that we're really going to like. I think Davies could potentially be a DH if his fielding doesn't get any better. That's what we're really waiting on. The durability at 64 as well could also be a concern. Maybe he gets injured a lot, and maybe that would require him to be a DH for us. Another thing to think about is Jackson Merrill can play second base or shortstop. So you never want to count that out as well. You could allow Jackson Merrill to move down to second base or shortstop. With Cronenworth being 31 years old, definitely could be a possibility. And then we've talked about Xander Bogaerts and how he's kind of regressing here. What do you do with him? We are seeing the overall go up, though. So maybe a trade candidate, maybe we dump that contract. I don't really think that's going to work out, but you never know. Giancarlo Nieves for the White Sox here. Was he No, he actually fell in the draft for whatever reason. I don't know why he did, but he's got 88 potential, 74 overall to start. This guy looks like a really, really good prospect. I'm not sure how he fell. Yeah, because remember, the White Sox were like picking 11th, even though they were the worst team in baseball, and he fell all the way to them. That's an excellent selection for the Chicago White Sox. Maybe the player of the future in Chicago. Santiago Montez was somebody that we were definitely interested in. Went off the board before we selected. He's got 89 potential, 62 overall to start. I do like what he potentially brings to the table. Johnny Ramirez was an outfielder that we liked a little bit. He's 21 years old, 60 overall to start. Yeah, I just don't like these type of prospects. He's old, and we knew that his starting overall was going to be on the lower side. Just because his potential is 84-94 does not mean I'm going to take him with my first selection. Carlos Guevara was a top 3 draft pick, and he looks really good at 18 years old, 60 overall to start. He definitely has time to grow with that 94 potential. Juan Yang was an outfielder that I really liked. He's a lefty bat as well, and I think that he would have been a home run selection. But his fielding is also just really bad. You don't like that fielding at all. Damian Goldie was another guy that we were interested in. He looks really solid as well. But right here is pretty encouraging. The Dodgers had a terrible draft, not drafting a single player that has B potential, and not really drafting a single player that will ever be a contributor to their big league club. So that's really good to see. The Dodgers at least suck at one thing. So now my goal is to get Jackson Merrill off of the injured list here. I want to talk about him here in a second. As Forrest Wall with a broken hand, he's going to be out for the remainder of this season. But Jackson Merrill is no longer injured. He is eligible to come off that injured list. So I want to talk about him for a second. So I didn't really understand this here. Never mind. It was because he was injured. So Jackson Merrill, when he was injured on the injured list, I was looking at his contract, and it said he was set to be a free agent at the end of the season. And I did not understand why he was going to be a free agent. It made no sense to me. Well, it turns out he comes off the injured list, and there you have his renewables. Now you have his arbitration years. But he did sign a contract in real life and a long-term extension with the Padres. And I think I would like to offer the same exact contract to him here in the game. I know I'm not trying to make this based off of real life, but I think Jackson Merrill is a part of my future plans with this roster. And so I am going to lock him up to a long-term deal. So the contract that he signed was 9 years, $135 million. And if we were to offer that 9-year, $135 million deal, I'm not sure that he would take it. We can offer it to him, but he would rather have a shorter contract. He's looking more so for that $20 million range. So maybe we go for a 6-year deal instead. So maybe instead of 9 years, we go 6 years. He can still hit free agency at 27 years old, but we do lock him up through those arbitration years because, you know, it would allow us to have him an extra year longer. So maybe we go 7 years instead. Maybe we could try something like that. And we go 7 years, $120 million. He doesn't want to be locked into a contract that long. He would really like to hit free agency in his career, trying to make a lot more money. So I think 6 years is probably more so what he would want. So let's go 6 years, $100 million. The offer's on the table. And he doesn't want to be locked into a contract for that long. Okay. This right here is going to be my final offer. It's $18.3 million per year for 6 years. And he will sign the contract. Okay. You know, there for a second, I hesitated. I thought about maybe let's not offer it. Let's wait a little bit. So we were going to have him through 2029. Then he would hit free agency. We've now allowed ourselves to bring him in for 2 extra years. You may be thinking, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen because you just made it so that you're spending more money now. And now that I'm thinking about it, that's exactly what I did. But he's going to be making a little bit less than Fernando Tatis will be making in 2027. Tatis's number will go up. But I think that it was a really good deal for a 21-year-old, 89 overall guy who was having a really solid season so far this year. I think it's a really solid deal. So a trade to begin the episode. We see our draft picks. We really like Davies. And then 2 contract extensions with Luis Arraez and Jackson Merrill. I think that this episode is showing a lot about where I want to take this team in the future. I'm not looking to, start a full-on fire sale, a full-on rebuild and lose everybody. I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to try and make this roster better while also trading guys that we don't really have in our future plans, as Jackson Merrill will line this one out. First pitch swinging. Maybe he needs to be a little bit more patient in his return from his injury. Facing the lefty, Eduardo Rodriguez. Jackson Merrill's ratings against left-handed pitching is not bad. It's 62 contact, 61 power. The vision at 77 is really solid, though. I think that he definitely will get a lot better in the future. As he swings through the cutter down at the knees, and that's going to bring up an 0-2. The pitch from Eduardo is inside for ball one. Here's the 2-2 from Rodriguez, and this one will be popped up in the infield. Jackson Merrill with his second out of the game. So Drew Gilbert over there in left field now that Jackson Merrill's back, and I think that's where Gilbert's going to play. I think Merrill, for the time being, will be our center fielder. This one's crushed deep to left center field. Merrill will not get there. Corbin Carroll. I got to do this again. What am I doing? He's going for 3, and he is going to be in there safely. A triple for the speedy Corbin Carroll. Eggy Rosario with a 2 RBI home run. I haven't been playing him, and I'm not sure why. He can hit left-handed pitching extremely well. I think that, that's really just my fault in not really paying much attention to it. But Eggy Rosario with a home run gives us a 3-1 lead here against the Diamondbacks, as this one was hanging for Merrill, and he fouled it away. Here's the 1-2 from A.J. Puck, and it's outside. Jackson Merrill battling back in the count here. I'd love to see another elevated slider here. And this one's not elevated, but fouled away by Merrill to stay alive in the count. Here's the 2-2 from Puck, and this one popped up behind the plate. 97 right there in the zone, and it's a pop-up behind the dish. Here is Merrill with an opportunity to make a play out in the field, as he will hold the runner at second. Yuki Matsui on the mound now as we look to try and win this game against the Diamondbacks, as the bases are juiced and we're facing another lefty. Joe Mantiply on the mound for the Diamondbacks now. I'd love to just be able to hit a righty. See, Jackson Merrill does have a better clutch. His is at 73. So he's a really well-rounded hitter, 73 clutch. So it makes him better with runners in scoring position, as he will hit this one, as that's an excellent play from Suarez. Merrill with an 0 for 4 day. But we come away with the victory. The Padres, Fernando Tatis with 3 singles. Michael King goes 5, only allowing 2. And then, of course, Eggy Rosario with the home run. So my intentions are to complete the rest of this season in this episode. Winning 3-2, I'm going to simulate here as we drop the second game and the third game. It's another series loss here on the season. And it's going to be another one, as everybody's getting injured now. Manny Machado with 2 home runs as we lead 3-0. We do win that game, but like I said, another series lost. So the simulator injury frequency is up about 2 clicks. I guess 1 click. I feel like we're seeing a lot of injuries. I'm going to keep it at what it's at right now, though. And then I think the trade slider, I did actually end up taking that all the way down. I'm going to put it like right here for next season. I'm curious to see if there were any trades at the deadline other than what we made. Yeah, so that was the only trade that was made at the deadline. So my fault. I messed that one up a little bit. I probably should have put the trade slider back up so that, we could actually see some trades at the deadline. But I'll put the slider up 2 like I just did, and I'll leave it there for the remainder of this series. Randy Vasquez is working on a no-hitter here into the 7th. And we're also looking for a series win. I'll go ahead and enter this game and see if we can't get a no-no with Vasquez. I know at this point in the season, you guys aren't really too concerned with the gameplay. We are 20 games back from 500 baseball. The season is pretty much a lost cause at this point. And Randy Vasquez only 56 pitches into this game. That's some pretty incredible stuff. I think he has the energy to definitely go the distance. As Lamont Wade stands in, he is 0 for 2 in today's game.
1 ball, 1 strike.
As that one nearly hit him. As this one is poked by Wade, and the no-hitter is no longer there. Still an excellent outing, though, for Vasquez. 6 really solid innings. I think at this point, I'll go into the quick manage if I'm able to do that. So it won't allow me to go into quick manage. So it's literally making me play this game. That is not really...
1-0.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Vasquez would have been pounding the strike zone here in this game, coming into the 7th inning with only 56 pitches. And he's just not really finding the strike zone at the moment. This one's hit the right field and ran down. Curious to why he's not really finding that strike zone right now. This one's popped up in fair territory. It looks like it's Iggy Rosario there to make the play. And this one's ripped down the line by Mike Yastrzemski, foul. Hit very hard as he is down 0-2 here, looking for the potential strikeout to get out of 7 scoreless. And it's fouled away from Yastrzemski. We go right back to the curve, and it is just outside of the zone. Here's the 1-2 from Vasquez as Yastrzemski will hit this one down the line, and this one is a fair ball. Lamont Wade is held at third. So still the score 3-0. Can Randy Vasquez get out of this jam here in the 7th inning? As Flores will chop this one to short. And that is a... Okay, I thought he threw it to second for some reason. And I was about to lose my mind. We do get out of the inning, though, with Randy Vasquez. It's 7 scoreless. And we do come away with the victory, and it's a series victory. Campusano and Cronenworth each with home runs. And then Jackson Merrill with a triple and a 2-hit day. So we lost 4 straight to then win 4 straight against the Giants as we win another series against our division rivals. We're 54-75 now, and it's back-to-back losses by the Dodgers. And it's back-to-back sweeps against the Dodgers. Trailing 5-4 here, and the Mariners come away with a victory. And it's now 6 straight losses. Yeah, too many injuries. I'm seeing way too many injuries. The sliders got to go down here. We do pick up a victory, though, against the Twins, 1-0. Let's go to sliders. There's too many simulator injuries while simulating. I'm just going to put it down to its default setting. I can't be dealing with an injury, every day there's an injury. So let's check in on how Drew Gilbert has been performing. A 159 average, has not hit his first big league home run, 5 walks, he struck out 14 times, 2 stolen bases. A negative WAR player at the moment. I'm not going to really sweat it too much. This is a small sample size, only 22 games. As we're here against Minnesota, and we come away with another victory. So back-to-back victories. Look at all these guys coming back from injury. As we have hit the September call-up window, and I have some guys in mind that I want to call up. The first guy obviously being Jeremiah Estrada. He's too good to spend all this time down at the AAA level. And then we sent Connor Joe down to the AAA level when we brought in Drew Gilbert. I'm going to call him back up to the big league level as well. So nothing too exciting with the September call-ups. So in case you guys are curious how Leo Dallas DeVries is doing, 67 overall he's up to now. We're seeing really good rating progressions out of him. Nothing negative across the board. He has a 256 average with 10 home runs. OPS at 701 here. And a 1.2 WAR. 233 in his last 10. And then Ethan Salas has struggled. We're seeing that contact versus lefties take a huge dip. -6. We're seeing the power go up against lefties, but he is really struggling to hit them this season. He has a 214 average with 9 home runs. And I'm actually curious now to go ahead and look at how he's actually doing against left-handed pitching. Against right-handed pitching, he's batting .247 with 7 home runs. Against lefties, He's batting 127 with 2 home runs. So that's a little bit concerning. I'd really like to see him hit left-handed pitching a little bit better, but he's going to see more righties than he would lefties anyway. And then we get swept by the Orioles as we'll head into a series here against the Rockies. And I'm curious now if Gilbert has his first career home run yet. We're still waiting on it. And I think Coors is probably the best place to get it. 4 cold streaks across the board. Nobody's on fire at the moment. Luis Arraez with a 296 average. Fernando Tatis average has gone up throughout the season. Elias Diaz has been terrible. We need to figure the catching position out probably sooner rather than later. Ethan Salas could be the answer, but if he continues to struggle against left-handed pitching, maybe that won't be the case. Unfortunately, we are facing a lefty in this game, though. It's Austin Gomber on the mound. So our chances of a home run may go down a little bit as this one's going to be chopped up the middle and the play will be made. I got to be a little bit more patient here at the plate. As here is Tyro Estrada, and it's Randy Vasquez back on the mound. No shutout this time. As this one is ripped into the gap, and it will be fielded. And I really got to do this when I'm throwing in second. Top 4 now as we see the dark skies here in Denver as we lead 2-1 against the Rockies, a team that I thought was going to be the worst team in the NL West, and here we are, the worst team in the NL West. One of the worst teams in baseball. After 2 high fastballs, we're down in the count 0-2. Does Gomber go back to it? Nope. It's a little lower in the zone, but it's a strikeout as Gilbert goes down swinging. As we go bottom 5, Jacob Stallings to the plate now. Vasquez still in the game. And this one's hit pretty well to left field. And it is off the wall. We throw this one in here. We're going to hold Jacob Stallings with his 3 speed to a single. A hard contact single. And a run does score on an error. But 2 runners in scoring, or 2 runners on. Nobody out. The Rockies go with another lefty. As Gilbert, come on. I have to be more patient than this. I'm really struggling at the plate right now. Okay, we have another opportunity, and it's a righty this time. It's Angels legend Jimmy Herget on the mound here for the Rockies. Bases juiced, and I thought that was the one. 99 off the bat just early. Here comes the 0-2 from Jimmy Herget. And it's inside for ball 1. So Drew Gilbert with an opportunity to potentially tie this game up or give us the lead. And he's going to chop this one to the shortstop. You've got to be kidding me. I want to get a base hit with this guy other than that first double. And that is going to do it for this game. An achievement for Womp Womp. Gotta love that right there. And it's another loss for the Padres. So I want to try again here, but this time with a righty on the mound and see if we can fare a little bit better. But Jake Cronenworth, I've thought, has been really good with a 273 average. And then Manny Machado, we've not really played with him at all this season. I would like to get a couple of at-bats in him in here in this episode with him before we finish off season 1. Holy crap, a tongue twister that wasn't even a tongue twister. It's Ryan Feltner on the mound here for the Rockies as Gilbert stands in, still searching for that first career home run. Can he get it here against the Rockies? Oh my gosh. Why am I swinging at the first pitch I see every time? Let me know if you guys like this first person camera here. Sometimes it can be a little difficult as we're going to be able to see this one. And this one is caught by Gilbert. I think it's a really cool touch. I think I do like it. Can be a little difficult to see though. But Jackson Merrill with a home run, and we have a 1-0 lead. I'm not swinging at the first pitch. I'm putting my controller down, and it was a slider that I would have crushed. That is devastating. Here's the 0-1 from Feltner, and he goes right back upstairs with a fastball this time. As we're quickly down 0-2 in the count. Here's the pitch from Feltner, and it's inside for ball 1. We've had a good pitch to hit here in this at-bat, and we decided not to swing at it. Trying to be a little more patient, but this one's hit well to right field. Drew Gilbert, it is off the top of the wall. I thought it was his first career home run. He just missed it. It is an RBI, though, for Gilbert. Oh, my gosh. How much did he miss it by? He probably missed it by about... I'm trying to figure this camera out. Please forgive me. Maybe a foot. As you see it right off the top of the wall. So close. I'm going to try to get a stolen base here against Ryan Feltner. Can we get another stolen base? And I jumped early. I continue to make mistakes. I'm continuing to get frustrated with myself. Cronenworth, though, with a home run. And I think it's time we get a player locked with Cronenworth as well, potentially. As Victor Vodnik on the mound now for the Rockies. Gilbert still chasing home run number 1. Here comes the 1-1 from Vodnik, and it's a rip to right field and another base hit. We've seen 3 hits from Gilbert here in this episode, and they're really hard hit balls. He is hitting the ball hard, and I think that's very encouraging. Each of his 3 hits that we've had with him are over 90 miles per hour off the bat. I got to get one more game in with him after this one as well, just to see if we can get home run number 1, as the Rockies will turn 2 to end the inning. We'll stick with this first-person camera mode as Paul Blackburn working on a shutout. Maybe somebody that we think about signing. This one's hit to left, trying to get there, and we do. Good job out there and left. Blackburn working on that shutout, but Kyle Farmer with an RBI as Tom Cosgrove comes out on the mound now. As this one's hit pretty well. We are getting underneath of it, up against the wall, and we're not able to make the play. And we're going right to our at-bat now. What in the world's going on? As Lucas Gilbreth on the mound, looking for hit number 3 of the ball game. As that's not going to happen. It's ripped to first. Unless we can outrun Gilbreth. Not going to happen. But we should come away with a victory here. Kyle Farmer 2 for 3. Runner on first. Cosgrove still on the mound. And this one is ripped to left field. And we're not going to get there. This one will roll to the wall. And I got to do this again. Can we throw the runner out at home? No, not going to happen. He's there safely. The Rockies 5-2 now. But we do come away with the victory. A home run for Cronenworth. And then Bogarts with a 3-for-4 day. And I'm going to get one last player lock game in here with Drew Gilbert. It's Herman Marquez on the mound for the Rockies as we look for that first career homer. And I want your guys' thought on what you guys think about the trade that we pulled off with the New York Mets. I honestly think it was a really solid trade. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was a bad trade when I don't believe it was. I think it was an even, fair trade. And I'm excited about what Drew Gilbert could potentially bring to the table in the future. He's a speedier outfielder, looks to have really good defense in the future, and if he can develop the bat, I think he's going to be a really solid player. As Gilbert comes back in the count to even it at 2. As Marquez here in the second with 30 pitches. Here is the pitch, and it's going to be grounded foul. Look out. The hard contact from Gilbert. 97 off the bat. And that's a pitch that I knew I should have held back on, but I just couldn't help myself. As we lead 3-0 now. A home run for Elias Diaz.
Ball, that's high.
Marcell Ozuna has 60 home runs this season, if you look at the ticker down below. As Gilbert's going to pop this one up the center. You got to lay off that outside sinker and nearly drop for a single, though. Xander Bogaerts with a 2-run blast. As Bradley Blaylock on the mound now for the Rockies. We're leading 5-0, and I keep swinging at first pitches. Drew Gilbert was a first-round draft pick in 2022. Played for the Tennessee Volunteers in college.
That's a ball.
And he's finally getting an opportunity to play here in 2025. Here's the 2-1. Another hard-hit ball, 93 off the bat. If he can work out this bat, I think he's going to be really good.
3-2.
I'm glad I laid off of that one. 3-2 upcoming from Blaylock. And it is inside as Drew Gilbert showing some patience at the plate this time. And he's aboard. As Elias Diaz stands in, and I'm going to try and steal second here against Blaylock. Not going to get thrown out here before he even pitches. Maybe a rough jump there, but a really good decision to steal. We're in scoring position now for the one-hitter, Luis Arraez. He's also 2 for 3 on the day. 294 average on the season. As this one looks to be hit pretty well into the gap, and it's going to get down. Run, Gilbert. I don't like how they mess with the base running. I should just be able to push up on that left analog stick, and it's advance me bases. Not push up, but I'm looking to the outfield, and now it's making me run back to third. That's the dumbest thing that they could have come up with, as we are dominating the Rockies in this game, and Michael King working on a shutout. This one ripped down the line. I continue to struggle with these ones. Not this time, though. We go top 8. It's Kyle Freeland on the mound for the Rockies. Lefty-lefty action now. As this one's ripped to right center. 102 off the bat. And we're going to hold up at second, but Drew Gilbert with another hard hit ball. He's going to be my favorite player on the team more than likely, just because we took a shot on a 24-year-old prospect that maybe could have been blocked from being called up in the future. I'm going to try and steal again here. Runner. And this one is at the knees, and in there safely is Gilbert with the stolen base. Now Luis Arraez comes to the plate. He's 3 for 4. Can we extend our lead? Arraez is going to hit this one back to the pitcher, and it's going to be into the outfield. Gilbert will score. It's an error on Kyle Freeland, but we do extend our lead to 8-0. And we're getting another at-bat here. It's Diego Castillo on the mound now. We're leading 10-0. As Gilbert will roll this one over to second, and it is a out there at second. No double play. Can we get another stolen base, or is it, the hidden rules of baseball? You can't steal when your team is up 10-0, and I'm not going to do it here. One thing I think MLB The Show needs to do is accurately represent stolen bases. Nico Horner leads the NL with 40 stolen bases. Where's Ellie De La Cruz? Unless he's been hurt all season, he needs to be sitting at like 60-something. As this one's going to be off the wall, and Gilbert will score. The Padres extend their lead even more. 13-0, and it's a shutout as Michael King goes 7. 4 hits for Merrill, 4 for Luis Arraez, as Drew Gilbert scores 3 times, but with only 1 hit. And then following that series, we do get beat by the Reds. We do win one of those games, and then we are playing the Rockies again, but this time at home. Michael King with a shutout going late here, and we do win that game 2-0. We win the second one, and we have 29 guys on our roster right now. And Joe Musgrove is no longer injured. But here in this situation, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and send him down to... Okay, never mind. I don't even think I can send him to AAA. I'm going to actually go ahead and... Because he's supposed to be out for the entire season in real life. So I'm going to go ahead and give him an injury just to put him out for the rest of the year. We'll just give him a shoulder separation. He'll be out for 35 days. So then I'll go back to the settings here. I don't want to keep it on. I don't know what will happen if you keep it on manual. So we'll just go back to on. And we come away with another series victory against the Rockies. And I saw the Mets here on the schedule, and I was hoping maybe we would play Dylan Cease. That's not going to be the case. We do win the series, though, against the Mets, so that's really cool to see. And then how about the 51-102 loss White Sox? As we do win that series, and we're playing our best baseball here in September. We've won more series than we've lost here, and then we have an opportunity to close the season out strong with 66 wins on the season. That will at least ensure that we're not going to have 100 losses. I can't believe the path that this franchise has taken. I did not expect us to suck this bad. I thought maybe there's a chance we could struggle, but I didn't expect this. Yu Darvish is obviously aging. For some reason, he's back in the starting lineup. I want Randy Vasquez to be there because he's actually seeing really good development. I don't want this game to start messing with my roster. I don't want it to do that. Please don't. But he was pitching really good when you see his recent games. 2.44 ERA, 1.17 whip. And this is in 44 innings of work. Really good stuff out of Randy Vasquez. Paul Blackburn, he has struggled. Michael King is pitching at an elite level. Nick Pivetta has not been good. And we have him under contract for this foreseeable future, so you're not really getting out of that. Matt Waldron has kind of turned it around a little bit. He's pitching really well. Definitely could be in the starting lineup or the starting rotation next season. Austin Davis has been good out of the bullpen. Ron Marinaccio has kind of turned it around a little bit. The whip kind of high, though. Jason Adam, for being an 80 overall, has been disappointing. Yuki Matsui has been really good. Adrian Morejon has not been good. I think that he's somebody that I don't have an interest in having at the bullpen at the big league level next season. Tom Cosgrove has sucked. Jeremiah Estrada has sucked. Yu Darvish has sucked. And then Robert Suarez has been pretty decent. Henry Baez, a 22-year-old down at the AA level, has been pretty solid. I think he starts out at AAA next season, but he's been really solid, though. And then Johnny Brito, we tried this experiment out at the big league level. He wasn't that good, so I'm not sure you're going to see him. Steven Kolick, 66 overall, has not gotten an opportunity at the big league level, and maybe we could give him one here as the season winds down. Or as a matter of fact, Brian Hoying, I'm actually not sure how you say it, was really good last season at the big league level. Hasn't gotten this chance here. I'm going to actually go ahead and call him up because that's an interesting situation that he's in. We'll call him up, and then I'm going to go ahead and send down relief pitcher Jeremiah Estrada. He's continuing to struggle. And then how about Adrian Morejon as well? We'll send him down to the AAA level. It's not going to allow us to because he has 5 years of MLB service time. Luis Campusano has actually turned in a pretty good season here. With a 240 average, 17 home runs. I mean, this is a career year that we're seeing out of Campusano. I think he's definitely a starting catcher. Elias Diaz has been awful, and I have no interest in bringing him back. He is set to be a free agent, so that is good. Xander Bogaerts hasn't been terrible. He's not hitting for power, but in 97 games has 8 home runs, but a 270 average, 720 OPS, and has been a positive WAR player. I don't know why we've sucked this bad. Drew Gilbert did find that first career home run. It was against the Mets. So of all teams to hit it against, it's against his former team. Good stuff from Drew Gilbert. That's a pretty cool storyline right there. I mean, looking at the lineup, I don't think it's a terrible lineup at all. I think that we need a better backup catcher, that's for sure. And in this situation, Campusano is going to catch, and Elias Diaz will be taken out here in this DH spot. And we're going to go ahead and put Jose Iglesias as the DH. These are changes that I should have made a long time ago. So forgive me for screwing this up. And then Connor Joe will DH here. Or actually, let's go with Jose Iglesias. Iglesias has actually been really solid as well. We have him to a 1-year deal. We could try and bring him back to be a bench utility guy in the future. Our AAA squad, there's not a single player. There's only 2 guys that are hitting above 220. Nobody's even hitting above 230. So that's awful. And then at the AA level, there's not really too many guys to be, that excited about here. Maybe Yendry Rojas, a lefty, has really good contact, really good fielding. There actually might be something there with him in the future. But Leo Dallas DeVries, 247 average. We're seeing the power versus lefties go up. Ethan Salas, contact versus lefties still down. Would like to see it go up for sure. But 6 games left on the schedule. Brandon Woodruff on the mound here for the first one. Let's get a player lock game in with a player that I think has had a really solid season, and that's Jake Cronenworth with 20 home runs on the season. I'm going to finish this episode up by having one with Cronenworth, one with Machado, and then we'll have one last player lock game in the final game of the season with Fernando Tatis Jr. I would do more player lock games with pitchers as well. The only thing that I don't like about it is they take a lot longer. They really do. Season 2, I'm going to slow the pace down a little bit, maybe and I keep swinging at first pitches. I got to stop that. But I'll probably slow the pace down a little bit heading into season 2. That way we can focus on some of the pitching, because Michael King has been really good this season, and I don't want to overlook that. He's been really, really good. Bases are loaded here for Jake Cronenworth. That one was right there. Cronenworth down in the count, 0-2, and it's down at the knees. The sinker gets the strikeout. Paul Blackburn on the mound here for us as this one's hit. Cronenworth will make the play, hopefully. Christian Yelich with a solo shot gives the Brewers a 2-1 lead. 62 RBIs for Cronenworth on the season. He fouls away the sinker to go down 0-2. Here comes the 2-2 to Cronenworth, and it's right down the middle. Just couldn't square it up. Yeah, the more I think about this season that Luis Campusano has had, he's actually had a really good year, as it's a base knock for Cronenworth. And I think it's pretty encouraging to see Campusano playing well, because that's really good starting catcher numbers. He's already 2 for 2 in this game. I think I'm excited about the future of the Padres team, and I think that we could get back to building a contender next season. I think this was really just a down year. There's some starting pitching that I'm not really excited about. Dylan Cease was having a rough year, but there's some guys like Nick Pivetta who have just been really bad. And this one gets through. And Yu Darvish, paying him a lot of money, trying to keep him on the big league roster, but at the end of the day, he's been terrible. I think the lineup has been really good. I think it's been one pitcher that has done really well for us, and other than that, it's not been good. As Bogarts is going to hit this one, and why does it do that? And they're going to get the force out at third because, yeah, you know how I feel about it. It's not like a loss in this game could really, hurt our playoff chances at all. So, runner goes as Cronenworth will swing at it anyway, but it's a stolen base regardless. For Fernando Tatis, only 19 stolen bases. Okay. So Marcell Ozuna has 65 home runs on the season, which is ridiculous. Why did I swing at that? 65 homers is crazy. Maybe a little redemption here. 1 for 4 in the day. Can we come away with our second hit? And I think we just got underneath of it. As a 1 for 5 day for Cronenworth. Adrian Morejon did get injured, so that's what we've been waiting for. Trying to get him sent down somehow. And I wanted to bring up Stephen Kolek. Drew Gilbert's average sitting at 188. I think it is going up at the moment. I mean, when you look at the lineup, it's actually really solid. And I'm actually kind of, like I said, excited about what it could look like next season. It's more so our pitching. Our bullpen has been kind of lackluster at times. And with 2 games remaining on the season, we'll get a player lock game in here with Manny Machado. And see if we can't highlight him for what feels like the first time in the series. 28 home runs, 242 average, 81 RBIs on the season. Merrill Kelly's on the mound for the Diamondbacks. I still think the only home run that I've hit here on MLB The Show 25 is the one I hit with Leo Dallas DeVries. So, something to think about there. The young prospect, maybe I have a magic touch with him. As this one's ripped to second. But the play will be made. Hard hit ball, though, from Machado. It's Campusano with the home run. And this one's also hit the second. I don't know how that one's not hit a little harder, but Campusano with an excellent season. I think that we have a really good catcher of the future here. Merrill Kelly still on the mound here in the 6th inning. Runner on second for the 3-hitter, Manny Machado. He lays off the first pitch. As Machado hits this one to short. Can he outrun it? It may be an error by Perdomo, and he's not going to. Gosh, I can't buy a hit. Jason Adam on the mound now. Eugenio Suarez, the former Red, will chop this one, and Machado will make the play. And believe it or not, I do think that we got better here in this episode. I think that the trade deadline we got better. I think we brought in an outfielder that is going to be better than what Jason Hayward could offer, or Connor Joe, or maybe even anybody in free agency that we could, get for a relatively cheap contract. It was not going to be realistic to be able to spend $60 million and bring in both Michael King and Dylan Cease. It was just not going to happen. As there's a strikeout, I'm sitting here yapping. It wasn't going to happen. So what we did is we decided Michael King is the guy that we want. And then Dylan Cease is going to be the guy that we allow to go to free agency. We still have to bring King back on a contract, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so then we bring in a future outfielder that's going to start for us next season and I think has really good potential. We're seeing the lineup perform at a really good level so far this season, at least in my opinion, from what I can see. One thing that I didn't do that I probably should have is I should have actually signed Michael King to a contract like in this episode when we had the chance. I just kind of forgot. We'll try and get him back in free agency, though. As Randy Vasquez is on the mound, it's a 4-2 victory. And that's what I mean. I think we discovered that there's pieces on this roster like Luis Campusano, who goes yard again. And then Randy Vasquez, who goes 4 1/3, only allowing 1 earn with 4 strikeouts. There's pieces on this roster to definitely be excited about. I think the guy that's really showing how well he could perform in the future is Campusano. The potential is a C, which I don't really like, but you were clearly seeing that he's playing way better than his ratings at the moment. 20 home runs, 247 average. I mean, this is a 2.5 WAR player. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of him. And this is going to be the final game of the season. Let's get a player lock game with Fernando Tatis Jr. In the camo uniforms, I think for the first time maybe in the series, and it's Zach Gallen on the mound, another pitcher that may hit free agency, and a pitcher maybe we could bring in for cheaper. I do plan on trying to bring in a starter in the offseason, and ideally I'd like to find somebody who we could spend about $20 million on. I'm not looking to spend $30 million. I think Gallen will demand close to that $30 million. As Tatis hits this one to left field. Is it a home run? In the last game of the regular season, it is. And it's with none other than Fernando Tatis Jr. His 26th of the season. El Nino. I think that's a really good way to end this regular season. I think the lineup has a ton of potential, as Gilbert with a home run in this one, and he picks up 2 RBIs. Paul Blackburn getting the start here in the season finale, and this one's ripped down the line. Tatis, an excellent fielder out there in right field, and they will not test the arm. So we go bottom 3 now, runners on the corner for Tatis. When you look at this schedule, when you look at this season, season 1, and you look at the final results, you look at our record, it doesn't make much sense why we sucked the way we did. I think that it was more so a fluke, if anything. I'm not into a full-on rebuild, but I think that the rebuild has really began. I think that we are not really rebuilding, maybe retooling. I don't know if next year's the year we're competing for a World Series, but I think we're a much better team next season. As Tatis will hit this one, Perdomo off the glove, and another RBI for El Nino. Here's Cronenworth, had a home run in this game. And the Diamondbacks have put in Jordan Montgomery. And what they feel has to be a must-win game. I'm actually not sure where they stand in the standings. But the runner's going to come across to score. And it's a 6-0 Padres lead here in the 3rd inning. And here's Luis Campusano. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. 247 average, 20 homers on the season. As he pops this one up in the infield, Suarez will make the play. Here's Xander Bogaerts here. 264 average, 17 stolen bases. As he looks to pick up the RBIs here. As this one is through, Tatis is going to score. 7-0 Padres. And it's 13-0 Padres, and we're still in the 3rd inning. Holy cow. As Tatis crushes this one to right field. It's gone. Home run number 2. And it's 2 touchdowns to nothing. Home run number 27 on this season for El Nino. Yet the Diamondbacks better look forward to the offseason as well. This has been a game to forget. 15 to nothing the score now. Fernando Tatis 3 for 3. And I'm looking for a 3rd home run. And that is it. The 3rd home run of the game for Tatis. 17 to nothing. Wow. Did you guys expect this to end the episode? To end season 1? I didn't. 3 home runs for Fernando Tatis Jr. I think this one right here might have been the hardest hit of them all. Dead center. And we will not shut out the Diamondbacks. As Tatis will stand in with an opportunity to hit his 4th of the game. He watches strike 1 from A.J. Puck. This would be something special. As he falls behind in the count 0-2. We're looking for the 4th. Here's the pitch. Fouled away from Tatis, up and in. He's got the timing down at the moment. Here's the pitch from Puck, and it's inside. Sweeper misses. Tatis has battled back. It's 2-2. Here comes the 2-2 from the lefty Puck. And it misses outside. It's going to be a 3-2 coming to Tatis. And I fouled away the pitch that would have done it. Please put it right back there, A.J. Puck. Please. Here it is. And Tatis swings and misses for strike 3. I'm not sure we'll get another chance, unfortunately. But it is a victory to finish off season 1. And I gotta say, I'm pleased with the way this episode went. I think we certainly got better. Everybody joins the hit party today except for Campusano, ironically. Drew Gilbert with 2 hits to get that average up above 200. He hits his 2nd home run as well. Jackson Merrill hits a home run, and then Paul Blackburn pitched pretty well in this game. And I'm not going to advance days here. I want to go ahead and look at the team rankings as far as batting average goes. See, I don't think that's where we're struggling. I think, yeah, we're a top 13 team. Runs, I think that we're also going to be possibly a top 20 team, maybe. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the fact that we've, gotten on base with hits, but we're just not getting runs across. When you look at hits here, yeah, we're 13th. As far as home runs go, we're going to be sitting at 15th, so middle of the pack. I think that this is a pretty solid hitting team. It's the RBIs, I think, that we're struggling with, and maybe it's that clutch rating with the runners in scoring position. We didn't strike out all that much. 2nd best in baseball. On base percentage here is also 20th. Here's where we really struggled, I think, was the pitching. This is a 20th ranked team in ERA. And we allowed the 19th most runs. I think maybe what a lot of it might have been is just that we got unlucky, potentially. We do finish this team as the 3rd worst team in the National League with 69 wins. Only the Nationals and Marlins were worse than us. And then when you look at the American League wild card, the Astros and Rays also finished with 69 wins. So we're going to have a chance at that top draft pick with the draft lottery. There's always a chance. And I think next season we're due for a huge year, in my opinion. You look at the player statistics here. I think there were a lot of exciting stat lines. Jackson Merrill with 14 home runs, and that was only playing 95 games. Campusano with 20, Cronenworth with 22, and then Tatis and Machado each with 28. You look at the batting average, Luis Arraez was really solid. I think we got guys that are hitting the ball. Drew Gilbert ends up finishing with a 203 average. Seeing the ratings go up here. 2 players with above 800 OPS. Tatis struck out 106 times, Machado 101. And Tatis was a 4.2 WAR player. Cronenworth with a 3.7. Campusano 2.5. Even Xander Bogaerts played really well. Drew Gilbert, turns out he's a positive WAR player as well. Here's your negative WAR. Elias Diaz is somebody that's not coming back. Neither is Yuli Gurriel. We may see Jose Iglesias come back as a bench bat potentially. Connor Joe walked the most. And then Eggy Rosario with a 28% K percentage. Not good. We did pretty well against right-handed pitching, and we have some guys that do well against left-handed pitching. I'm going to look at all these stats, and then I'll really have an idea of what I want to do in the offseason. But outside of this episode, I'm going to look at these stats, and I'm going to see, hey, here's what I think we need going into the offseason and free agency. Maybe we pull off a trade, potentially. But that's what the plan is for me. Michael King threw the most innings out there this season, and he had a 2.66 ERA, which was really solid. Randy Vasquez is probably going to be a starter for us next season. With the way that he pitched this season, that's definitely a possibility. A 2.61 ERA, 1.2 whip is really good. Yuki Matsui should be back in the bullpen for us next year, along with Robert Suarez. Matt Waldron was solid. And we definitely do have to figure out the rest of the arms in this bullpen. Nick Pivetta, I don't really like. Michael King had 18 quality starts, which is pretty darn incredible. And then a 4 WAR. Randy Vasquez, a 1.3 WAR. That's some excellent stuff. Yeah, I think Randy Vasquez is going to be a starting pitcher for us next season. I don't see why he wouldn't be. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm excited for the offseason. I'm going to go through here, look at everything, and find out what I think we need in the offseason. I think we have a majority of the pieces. We may just be missing a little bit. That's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the offseason. See ya.